Hello, my name is Lizzie, and this is Lizzie's Literary Life, and today we are doing my August Tipsy Wrap Up. So this is the thing where every month I drink and I talk about the books that I read in the previous month as well as my stats. And this month I very on a whim, I literally just didn't even look at it. I just grabbed it at the liquor store because I needed something fun. This is a frozen blue Hawaiian. Now, I chose it because it's blue, and I think blue is a fun color, and I wanted a last hurrah of summer, right? Even though I'm posting this in September, August is still summer. I wanted a last hurrah of summer before we get into our fall drinky drinks. Now, this was a poor choice because it's got coconut flavoring, and I don't like drinks that are coconut flavored. So I'm hoping the coconut isn't too strong. It literally has a coconut right here. I don't know what I was thinking because I know I don't like coconut drinks. But hopefully the coconut flavor is not too strong and I don't mind it too much. We're going to try it. If I do mind it too much, I do have a backup fun drink. So, because I got this a week ago thinking I was going to film last weekend and I didn't. So we're going to try this and then we're going to talk about some books. And spoiler alert, did not read very many books in August. So this might be a quick one, but also maybe I'll talk longer because there's not as many books. We'll see. But I'm going to open this. Okay. And if I do like it, I'm going to take it out of this pouch because last time I drank from one of these pouches, which was a couple years ago, it was a mess. But I'm just going to try it first. It is too coconut for me, but I might just drink it for this video anyway, because I like the blue color. I'm going to transfer it into the other glass that I was going to drink it out of. And I'm just going to go for it. I'm just going to go for it even though I don't like it very much. I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. This looks so silly. I put it in this pink sparkles mug, tumbler, I don't know what it is. But I put it in this thing that is pink sparkles to go with the blue. It's very colorful, very summer. So this is what we're going with. I also brought a spoon because I feel like I might need it. Because otherwise I'm just because it's not really drinkable. I do not like it. Oh my God. At least it's cold. I probably won't drink very much of this. I'm so sorry to let you down. But I'm going to put it down because we're going to do stats. And stats are serious business. Okay. I finished 6 books in the month of August, which is definitely my lowest reading month of the year so far. But that's okay. We all have them. I read 2,072 pages, a total audiobook hours of 33.76, and I spent a total of 26.03 hours reading this month, which still feels like a lot. That's over a day just reading. Average pages per book of 345. I spent an average of 10.83 days per book, which is days reading each book, which is kind of a lot. My average rating was a 3.83, so pretty solid. I read an average of 69.97 pages per day and spent 0.84 of an hour reading each day on average. I actually only read 3 genres this month. Half of my books were contemporary, and then I had nonfiction and historical fiction as well. But that makes sense with only 6 books, only 3 genres. Age demographics, 2/3 adult, 1/3 young adult. Formats, I read 2/3 audiobooks and then 1 ebook and 1 physical. I feel like I've been reading a lot of audiobooks this year. I just have not really been in the mood to physical read, or also maybe I think my physical reads have just been longer and heftier and like slower and taking a little longer. So that could be the case as well. As for where I acquired these books, 2/3 of them were from the library, 1 was from NetGalley, and 1 book I actually owned, so good for me. And ratings wise, I had 2 4.5s, 1 2.5, 1 3, 1 3.5, and 1 5-star. So that's exciting. And I feel like those are all the things. Let's get into the books I read. So these first 2, let me get my drink back, even though I'm not going to drink it really for the aesthetic. These first 2 books are actually going to be in a vlog. So I probably shouldn't talk about them because I don't want to tease them too much, but also like I don't have much to talk about in this video. So I should probably just talk about them, but they're in a future vlog. If they were in a past vlog, I don't know. What was I saying? We've got 2 books that are in a future vlog. So I'm not going to talk about them because I'm not going to talk about them. 1,000 Times Before by Asha Thonke. And I actually grabbed it, but I'm not going to talk about it. Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin are in a future vlog that should hopefully come next week. Hopefully next week, maybe 2 weeks. And then there's only 4 books left to talk about. So the first 2, or the next 2, I actually am going to talk about kind of in tandem. Because I read them in tandem. I alternated 1 chapter. So like basically each day I read 1 chapter of each one right in a row to be like a little, they were a buddy read together. I was buddy reading them together by myself. Does that make sense? Tandem read. That's what it's called. I tandem read these 2. And they are Girly Drinks, A World History of Women and Alcohol by Mallory O'Meara, and Quit Like a Woman, The Radical Choice Not to Drink in a Culture Obsessed with Alcohol by Holly Whitaker. Now, I read these. Well, Girly Drinks I've been meaning to read for ages, actually. It's been a book that I've been interested in. I heard maybe someone talk about it, and it just sounded super great. I read Quit Like a Woman because the buzzword for August in the Buzzwordathon challenge, I'm doing nonfiction Buzzwordathon with Ruby from Ruby Red, the buzzword was like. And I didn't really find anything else that was interesting to me in the like, that had like in the title. And I thought it would be fun to do a little tandem read of those 2. So I did. It was definitely interesting reading them in tandem because they had kind of polar opposite theses. Girly Drinks, it's a world history. So like each chapter is kind of a different century with, it's like prehistoric times and then like, and then it gets into each century, and then in the 1900s it gets into each decade or couple of decades. And each chapter highlights a woman from that time who was making alcohol. Because women have been making alcohol since prehistoric times. Like they have always been, before capitalism gets involved, they've been the primary source of the production of alcohol in the home. Like going back to hunter-gatherer times. Because alcohol has been super important to nutrition and to culture throughout history. And it was really fascinating to see that. And so the overarching thesis was kind of like drinking alcohol, making alcohol, and being in public drinking alcohol are sources of liberation for women. Because it's this thing that they've always been doing, but it gets kind of pushed away by capitalism and by patriarchy. And it was really fascinating. The history part of it was really fascinating. The like how these different drinks from around the world are made. It also was very global. It was not US focused. Like it had US chapters, US focused segments, but it was very global. I felt like it did a really good job of not being like a Western history at all, entirely. And yeah, it just was like a celebration of women drinking, which I thought was awesome. Quit Like a Woman, the central, it's part memoir, part thesis, part self-help book. And I will say I found the memoir part and the thesis part very interesting from like I don't want to say an academic perspective, that sounds pretentious, but like from a certain perspective, I found those parts very interesting. The self-help bit didn't really resonate with me very much. But the thesis is that like alcohol is a patriarchal tool used to oppress women, which like totally opposite from girly drinks. And I think both of their arguments had merit. I think the argument in girly drinks was more historically founded in fact, and it had more backing. Like the thesis in Quit Like a Woman wasn't really supported very much, except for the idea that like in the 21st century, big alcohol is run by men and is marketing alcohol towards women with the idea of like wine book clubs and wine moms and like that kind of idea. But so it was interesting reading that, and then the chapter in Girly Drinks about the 2010s and the idea of a wine mom being like kind of this statement of like, of course a man can go home after work and have a beer, but the idea is that like a woman's work raising children is never done, and so she can't have a glass of wine at the end of the day. And so this like wine mom idea is like reclaiming that women can relax. So it was interesting. It was an interesting juxtaposition. This is a very serious tipsy wrap up for me. But Quit Like a Woman, it was well written. It was interesting. I think the Holly Whitaker's experience giving up alcohol was interesting. And some of her arguments, she had this argument that like there's no such thing as an alcoholic. There's just like you don't have like a cigarette-aholic. It's just like smokers and non-smokers. And she had this argument that there's just drinkers and non-drinkers, that all drinking is a vice. And people do it in different degrees, yeah, but it's not like this amount is like normal and regular, which I don't know if I 100% agree with that, but it was an interesting take. I don't know where I'm going with this conversation, especially that I have this like silly goofy drink right here. And this is a series I do where I drink, but it was super interesting to read those two books together. The other thing about Quit Like a Woman is that she's very not anti, but she's anti the idea that AA is the only option, because she thinks that the thesis, or I've said the word thesis a lot, but the focal point and the perspective that AA comes from in its program doesn't necessarily work for the feminine experience, which I thought was an interesting take, and I don't know much about AA, so it was interesting to learn about that. So both books, very interesting to read and learn about. What did I rate them? Okay, I gave Girly Drinks a 4.5 because I thought it was extremely well done as a work of historical writing. I thought it was fun to read. I listened to them both on audio, and Mallory O'Meara narrates. They actually both narrate their own audiobooks, both of these authors. It was fun, it was interesting, it was informative, and it was just really well written. 4.5 stars, loved it. Quit Like a Woman, and I feel bad about this rating a little bit because I did get quite a bit out of this book, but the whole second half was very self-help, and it just wasn't what I was in for, you know? And so I gave it a 2.5 stars because it was like just okay. There was some stuff I agreed with, some stuff I didn't agree with. Large swaths of it were really boring. But I'm not unhappy I read it, you know? We're going to have a drink for that talk about drinking that went on way longer than I planned it to. I don't really want to have a drink of this, a spoonful. It's maybe getting better. Maybe not. Okay. I'll keep it in my hand for the aesthetic because I do think this is very fun looking while I talk about the next two. And the next two are the first two of the throwback book club picks for July and August. We haven't had the live show yet. The Throwback Book Club, if you don't know, is a book club that I host with Danielle from Danielle Reads, where we read books that we enjoyed as teenagers. And this was not nostalgic for me. I never read these, but very nostalgic for Danielle. And that is the Summer I Turned Pretty series. And I actually haven't finished the third book yet. We haven't had the live show yet. It's in a couple days, so I gotta finish it. But have not finished that yet. But I read The Summer I Turned Pretty, which is the first book, and I read It's Not Summer Without You, which is the second book. And these two books had such extremely different tones. It was like kind of wild. Like, the first one is so lighthearted and so fluffy and kind of substanceless, and I didn't really like it. I didn't dislike it, but it was so kind of nothing as a book. And that's a little bit harsh maybe, but it just didn't feel like it had any substance to it. It was just them having fun in the summer. There was barely a plot, and this love triangle situation between the two brothers and Belly. And then the second book was like so heavy, and I'm not going to spoil why, but there was just a lot going on, and I just didn't feel like I don't feel like the series so far has been paced well because of that, because of the huge contrast between the first two books. So I did give the first one 3 stars and the second one 3.5 stars. So I did like the second one better because it had more substance, but it was almost kind of too much, for like a YA, and after the first book, it just was too much. I'm not going to talk about these too much, partly because I've already been talking for a long time to only talk about 4 books, but we are having our live show today as I'm posting this, if I get it edited on time. But look for it on our channels, and you can hear us talk about this series a lot more, but that's a teaser of my thoughts. I don't think it's paced well. But I am also really excited to watch the show. We're going to watch the first episode, maybe first couple, together as a book club, and then if I like it, I'll continue. And we'll see how that goes. And yeah, that's all I'm going to talk about, because that's all the books I read in August, which is not very many, but there was a lot going on. And I'm really warm because I turned the fan off to film for the audio, and I would like to turn it back on. So we are going to end this. I am going to dump this out, unfortunately. It was only like $3. That's okay. First, comment down below your least favorite beverage or something about books. I don't know, but I want to know your least favorite beverage. Mine is like a pina colada type situation. Just anything with a coconut flavor I don't like. Give this video a like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one coming very soon. Bye.